Hey guys, welcome back to Steve's Backyard Bike and Car Repair Tips. As you can see behind me here, I've got the ct109rt that belongs to a friend of mine. And today we're going to be taking all the tins off of it because it's going to get some paint work done to it. And then there's going to be a few other things we do to it as a project. But today we're going to start by just getting the stuff off that needs to be painted. So that'll mean the back fender, front fender, side covers, gas tank. We'll get started with that. So I'm going to switch you around here. And I've never taken one of these apart, but as far as I can tell, these plus the wiring take the backrest and that off. So obviously we'll have to take the seat off, which will be a bolt right here. Side covers, I know the other side pops off. I think there's a key, yeah, that holds this one off, and we'll get that apart obviously. Same with the back, we'll get the tail light and signals off. It's crammed in the shop, but it's cold outside and I got the heat on, so I really don't want to open the door, but I think I can do this without too much trouble. The tank, there's probably something under the seat. I'll get into that in a minute. And front fender I think is where I'm going to begin, and it's pretty easy, so I'm going to cut away here in a minute and come back as I'm getting the last bolts out. I think they're a 12mm bolt, and there's 4 of them, 2 on this side, 2 up on the other side. I think you can kind of see it there. And we'll get this front fender off to start. So here we go. Okay, so I got the 4 bolts. They are a 12mm socket. And there is 2 brackets that go on either side here that actually hold the brake lines. I think when we go back on, I'll have those off just because it's hard to wiggle it and there's going to be fresh paint on these, so we're going to be careful going back on. But it is thin enough, thankfully, unlike my Honda that I did, that we can slide this fender out. And there's your front fender off. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Just to show you the side cover, I'm going to walk around and actually just pop it off quick and show you guys. Knocking things over here. So that's your side cover on the right side of the bike. Just 3 little tabs. There, and there. And I know he's already replaced the rubbers on this bike, but that was a good time. If this is loose by any reason for taking it on and off all the time, while it's getting paint, go get 3 new little rubbers that these sit into and get them on the bike, and then they'll be tight. You have to put a little Vaseline or grease on there to help pop them on, but you don't want this flying off down the road because it can happen. So now we're going to come to this side cover. I'm going to try it because I'm not well known with this bike. Well, I should get the right key. The truck key's not going to open that up. I believe it's loose. Okay, I'm going to put this down and figure this out because, like I said, this is not my bike and I don't want to break it. So I'm going to figure out how this comes off. But the key does definitely loosen it. So I'll come back to you in a minute when I figure this out. Okay, so it's off. It was the key. And then just like the other side, there's 2 tabs. I don't know, maybe there's a toolkit or something in there that they have you lock it up for, or a storage spot, but that's what it is. You can see that's the one there, and then there's one there, and then your key locks in down under here. So that's next. We'll be taking the back seat off, actually both the seats for that matter, and we've got an Allen key up here, and we'll get that seat off, and then that'll help us as far as the tank goes. And also with the back fender. Okay, so I took out, of course, like almost every metric bike, it's a 6mm hex. So that takes the back seat, it makes it loose anyways, and then it clips into here, so you just slide it back and out. Now I've got 2 right here. They're 6mm as well. And This is what holds the front seat on. So I'm going to take these off. Well, that holds the backrest on anyways. Oh yeah, the seat's underneath. There's the bracket for the seat. So we'll just rock the backrest down. And that's the bracket. That's also got your grab handle on that bracket. And we're going to lift. And that takes our seat off, which I'm going to get out of the way. Sorry guys, I'm trying not to show you the whole shop because I got a couple projects in here that I haven't really talked about yet. So one thing I'm going to be looking for, and yeah, here it is. So here's your harness for your rear taillights. So we're going to want to get that unplugged. Just because now we'll be able to take the back fender off, which I believe are these big bolts here. Now I'm going to take the taillights and stuff off after, but I just want to get the fender off the bike. So I'm going to sit, and I think it's got one of those brake light indicator strokers on it, so I'm going to have to see what I have to do to get that apart. But oh, it should just come off of that clip. Okay, so I'm going to do that, guys. So I'm going to undo this clip right here for your whole, that's your taillights and your turn signals. I'm going to get a big wrench on these and take these off, and hopefully that takes my backrest and my back fender off. Okay guys, so it's a really giant metric, but a 1-inch will work, 1-inch socket or wrench, and that is indeed what holds your fender on. And this, I will say there is a spacer that goes between on the other side of the backrest, so don't lose that because it's going to fall out. I still have to undo the other side. As you can see, I got the harness unclipped here. I'm putting rags through here because obviously we got the nice chrome bracket, which I may or may not be taking off. It's a couple of hexes up here. Probably when the fender goes back on, I will be, just so we can get it mounted, because they do dish in a little bit. So I'm going to go to the other side now. But I do suggest putting a rag in here, and I'm also going to probably put one on the top of the fender, even though it's getting painted. I don't want to put any gouges or scratches in it, just in case when I'm undoing this whole big backrest drops down. Okay, so that's just a tip for you guys. Okay, so those 4 bolts do actually hold it on, but these spars, the fender spars, they pinch it together so it doesn't want to move. So if you loosen these off, it actually lets the one spread enough you can get it out. Going back on, I'm not sure if I'm going to try and just take this spar right off and just bolt it to the other one. Also, I should let you know before you're fighting with it, right here there's a 12mm bolt that also has to come off. There's a little bracket. I think probably we'll take this off when it's on reassembly, bolt it to the other spar, bolt it to the front, and then put this one on, just so we're not messing around with fancy new paint and getting scratches in it. So next thing coming up is going to be the tank, which, if memory serves me right, is this right here, which I think is another 12. So 12mm. These are 10mm hex. So 10mm hex, 6mm, 12mm. I think is what you need to get this all apart. I believe, now I did have the tank off with them once before. I believe it is a quick connect as far as the fuel goes, but we'll confirm that in a minute. I'm going to get this fender off to a safe place, and then we'll carry on. Okay, so the fuel tank's off. Man, it was full of fuel. So it is the 12mm at the back. Now, up on the dash, yeah, right there. There's a, it's a smaller than 6. I think it's a 5mm, maybe a 4 hex that lifts off the dash. As you can see, I got the dash sitting right here. There's a clip right there, and that would be your wiring harness right here. Your fuel line is right here. Now there is a special tool to take this off. If not, if you're good enough, you can actually get in and squeeze the tabs with 2 fingers. What I actually did was I squeezed the tab on one side, just put a flathead screwdriver on this side, just gently. If you do this too hard, you don't want to break this clip because then you're in a lot of trouble. Push in on this side while holding in the other side, and then just wiggling it up and giving it a little tug at the same time, and you'll get that out. The battery's here just because I propped the fuel tank up so I could get my hand in there to do it. That would be the big thing to do with the fuel tank. Obviously, more fuel that's in it, heavier it is. So yeah, so this is where your tank sits. Obviously it's down on here, so when you pull it up, you'll pull it back up and out. So that gets the parts off of the bike. Now if you're going to be doing paint like this bike is, up to you. I'm not taking these off. I'm going to leave that up to the body shop or my buddy that owns the bike to do. The stuff to make life easier though, like this side cover, so I'm going to get a wrench in here, undo that big nut, or if you can get an adjustable in there, I don't know how extensive your toolkit is at home, get that loose and we can get that key off. And that strips that down other than the badge. Anything that's glued on I'm not going to get into, but if I can unbolt it and clean it off for the customer and for the painter, I'm going to do so. That brings the back fender, so we got the tail light and the signals right here. So you're just going to be undoing these bolts, and there's a couple screws, and your wiring harness. These little tabs, just you can see I can bend them up with my finger. You can get the wiring harness out, and I have to get your back fender stripped, and then ready for paint. At least as far as I go. So here we go, guys. So I'll get this all stripped. This is a real big rubber grommet. You should be able to pull this stuff through. This little box might be an issue, but we'll find out when I get to it. So I'll come back when I got this pulled apart, just so you can see what's going on there. So we got everything all stripped out of the fender here. If you don't have one of these, you might struggle, or you might break a couple clips. There's a couple clips that are pressed in. You got to dig under and pop them up. So unless you're really creative with a screwdriver, or maybe even make one out of an old screwdriver or something, just enough to get in there, to get underneath it and just pop it up. Then the rest of these steel tabs, obviously. The little rubbers, obviously for the wiring harnesses at either end, I took those out. Your license plate bolts are right here, took those out. Your 3 bolts for your tail light, and then obviously what I did is, you know, so you don't lose them and you know where they go back, put your rubbers and the little sleeves in them back in, put the bolts, just start them so you know they're where they need to be when you need to find them. Same with the back of the tail light. I put the screws on the back of the tail light. That's a big cruiser. That's got most of the stuff stripped off of it now. I don't know how far we're going to go with this project. This might be do the paint and then come back and do other stuff. It's really up to my friend who I'm doing this with. It's his bike, so it's his call. But this is a good start. And my battery's getting real low here, so we're gonna probably wrap this up. But that's it. That's everything stripped down. And there it is, all ready to go to paint. And then I'm going to ship that and some of the other stuff back with my buddy to his house. So I got some room in here. And then we'll be putting it back together, or maybe even taking a little more apart, depending on what he says when I see him next. So this is the beginning of the Boulevard project, guys. ct109rt, if I do recall right. And it should look really good when it's done. So I'll end this video here. If you haven't already, please subscribe. It helps the channel out, and you know, it lets me know that you're here and everybody's watching and they want to see more. And you know, if you enjoy watching the builds, or even if you you just enjoy a Suzuki Boulevard, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to know when contact goes up immediately, please tap that bell. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching.